Hey guys, so what is up? RedPandaMining here. How you guys all doing? Hope you all doing really well and having a really great day. In this video, I just want to explain how I am powering my mining rigs that you see here. And I don't mean by the power supplies into the graphic cards. I am talking about the power cabling that is going into my power distribution unit and then into Space Goat's meter and then into the circuit panel. Alright, so I want to explain how I'm doing all of that in this video because I've been having a lot of people ask. And disclaimer, this is not electrical advice or anything like that. Please have a certified electrician do any of your electrical work, from putting in the circuit breaker, getting a new outlet, anything like that. Please make sure you have a proper electrician do that kind of work. Okay, so before I talk about all this and how I have it all powered on, I just want to explain how I used to power mining rigs before I had all this, all right? But I would say a couple of years ago, all right? So let me go to an example mining rig. Okay, so here is your typical North American style 120 volt 15 amp circuit. You might have multiple of these outlets in the same room or same area, and they'll all share the same 15 amp breaker, which technically 15 amps, okay, you can do the math here. So 120 volts times 15, that will give you the 1800 watt metric. So 1800 watts you can theoretically go, even though if you have multiple of these like around your room, they'll all share that 1800 watts, okay? So I bet some of you probably plugged in some mining rigs in the same room and you tripped the breaker. That's very common with these because, like I said, you can only go up to about 1800 watts, right? So if you had other stuff plugged into these in the same circuit, you're gonna trip it, right? Okay, so I have an example. I have a test rig here with a 3060 Ti. I have a 1660 Ti and a 5700, and it's powered by this 850 watt power supply, and it goes into a wall socket here, as you guys can see. I do have a TP-Link power line adapter just so I can get network. But anyways, this is normally how I powered my mining rigs back in the day when I only had like a few rigs, and as I had more and more rigs, I had to split up the locations of the rigs dependent where the circuits were, okay? So because each circuit would only handle about 1800 watts on a 15 amp breaker. And so that was the drawback on running the power for mining rigs on these kind of outlets, because you're limited the capacity to 1800 watts, which there is a technical term that a lot of people use, and that is the 80% rule on any type of outlet, from what I've heard. Okay, so 80% rule, so 80% of 1800 watts would be about 1500 watts. Okay, so you technically don't want to go past 1500 watts on a circuit like this. Okay, so anyways, that's the little brief history of how I used to, power all of my mining rigs, on 120 volt circuits, 15 amp breakers. Man, that was really rough back then. Definitely tripped a lot. But let me show you guys how I power my mining rigs now. Okay, so you guys can see this is a 30 amp breaker that I had an electrician put in, as you guys can see right there, okay? And you can see there's a whole bunch of 15 amp breakers. Like I said, these can only go up to about 1800 watts max, but 80% rule, you can do 1500 watts. But now, since we have this 30 amp 240 volts, okay, there's two hots going into here. I'm not gonna explain that. This is basically a dryer plug. Your electrician, whoever's gonna wire it in for you, he'll know what to do, hopefully. Anyways, this 30 amp breaker, 240 volt, all right, so let's do the math here. 240 times 30, so that would be about 7200 watts. But at the 80% rule, all right, the 80% rule, it'll be about 5760 watts. So you guys can see here on the Space Goat's meter, which is wired into the 30 amp breaker, all right, we are utilizing roughly about 5300 watts right now, all right, so almost another 300 more watts than will technically be at the 80% rule that I would like to go on this 30 amp circuit, okay, at 240. And then you guys can see the wire here that goes down. It goes all the way over here. Here it is. It's a bit long. I do have a shorter extender here, which I will be putting in because I want to U-clamp this cable onto the wall. But anyways, going along, you guys can see the cables going along into my power distribution unit, which is over there. So let me take you guys closer to that. Okay, I gotta move my shelf while all my rigs are on. Hopefully nothing blows up or smokes. Okay, all right. Okay, so you guys can see, here is my nerdgears.com PDU. Really awesome PDU, guys. Go to their website, nerdgears.com. I'm not sure if they have them in stock or not, because you guys know the crypto mining market right now is insane, and so everything is sold out. But anyways, you guys can see, this is the wire here that goes to all the way to Space Goat's power meter, up onto the wall there. That's how I can tell how much power is being utilized. And mind you, you do not need to have a Space Goat's power meter to power all this. I just have that as an amperage meter just so I can understand how much watts I'm using. I mean, it's good practice to have something like that so you don't go over, like I said, 80% rule or the maximum of 7200 watts on the 30 amp 240 volt, right? There are power distribution units out there that have the amp meters built into the PDU. So you can see how much amps you're using, and that's really handy. You guys have probably seen my crypto mining basement videos where I do have the PDUs that show the amperage on the power distribution units already, all right? So that's pretty cool. And then you guys can see I have a bunch of these red cables. These are the C13 to C14 cables. These are all enterprise grade ones that I got from Infinite Cables. I'll have a link down below. It's a Canadian company. I'm sure in the US you guys probably have a wholesaler that that sells these. I got these for really cheap, like $3 to $4 to $5 each, and I got a bunch of different lengths. I can actually show you. I got a box full of C13 to C14 cables. You guys can see here. I got a bunch of different lengths, like 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet. Like, I just bought a whole bunch and I brought them all over to my crypto mining basement and my crypto mining barn, and of course I'm utilizing them right here, as you guys can see, that go into my mining rigs. And yeah, these cables are really nice. I like them because they're red, and they're also 14 gauge. Okay, 14 gauge is the thickness of the cable, which is very, very important. Okay, so in my opinion, I would not get anything less than 14 gauge, 14 AWG. All right, so that is the number there that you'll probably see when you're gonna buy C13 to C14 cables. And so there's like 16 gauge, there's 18 gauge. I wouldn't even bother with that. I would just buy the 14 gauge and then you'll be good for all of your mining rigs. Mind you, I would not go past 15 amps on a single cable. All right, so if you are splitting like on a mining rig, for example, I have an RTX 3080 rig and I have two EVGA 1200 watts. So each of my power supplies, I have one cable going into each one, right? So just be mindful of how much power your mining rigs are gonna output. And so that's why I said go with 14 gauge power cables so that you are safe. People say 16 and 18 gauge is fine, but you know what? I wouldn't risk it. I would always go with 14 gauge. You have the thickness and you have the capacity just in case. But you guys should definitely read up on gauge sizes and power cabling and all that kind of stuff. I'm just telling you how I have my mining rigs powered, and I've been doing this now for the past couple years. You guys know I do it in the crypto mining barn and in my basement as well, which I will do another video. I want to explain this multiple times, so I may do another video in the barn and the basement just so you guys can see how I have my mining rigs powered over there as well. But yeah, pretty interesting. I hope you guys potentially learned something. If not, then let me know. If I explained anything wrong, please let me know. But like I said, this is not electrical advice. I'm just telling you guys how I am powering my mining rigs, and I have been doing this now for quite a while. And it's much better because you have a lot more capacity, and plus we get to use like industrial cabling, industrial PDUs, thick gauged. You can see this cable here is a 10 gauge for the PDU, but anyways, you can see the capacity that we're going from, you know, 120 volt 15 amp to 240 volt 30 amp. So we went from 1800 watt to 7200 watts, 120 volt 15 amps to a 240 volt 30 amp breaker going into the circuit panel. Okay, so you guys can see the capacity here and how much watts I'm using for all of my mining rigs out there. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. I love this. And if you guys are wondering where I got this, this is from Space Goats. I'll have him linked down below. He is another crypto mining YouTuber. He 3D prints these cases for the digital meters here. I'll have this meter linked down below on Amazon. You guys can go check that out. And yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's how I have it powered for my 30 amp breaker right here, and then that's powering all of my mining rigs, okay? So guys, yeah, hopefully I explained that right and how I have it all done. Make sure, all right, disclaimer, make sure you have a proper electrician putting in all that stuff, your outlets and all that stuff, okay? So it's really imperative you have that. Even if you're comfortable doing it, I mean, I always recommend having a certified person do it for you. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's my explanation of how I am powering my mining rigs. So all the parts that I talked about today, feel free to click on the links below. I'll have them in the description and you guys can see what I'm talking about, what parts I have here. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one and peace out. Okay, let's roll my shelf back. Very careful. There we go. Alright, that's better. Yeah, that looks good.